Hi, my name is Richard Collinge. I'm a chartered physiotherapist with over 18 years of experience working in elite sport, especially football. So I've worked with many goalkeepers in that time. So come and join me at Sells Pro Training, where we can give you some tips to be the 24/7 athlete that might help you to emulate some of the world's best goalkeepers. Okay, so what we're going to do now is just talk through some finger taping and wrist taping concepts. First and foremost, what I'm using here is the Sells 2-inch finger tape. So if you'll notice that this is actually nice and stretchy, okay? So it will recoil. And what I suggest when you're putting the strapping on, you put it on about 50% tension. So don't stretch it all the way out and put it on too tight. Take it to about 50% potential of its length, and that is a good tension to put onto a wrist or a finger or a thumb. It's always worthwhile putting these on the first time, maybe 20-30 minutes before you go out to train, because there's nothing worse than going onto the pitch, finding that you've put it on too tight, or it gets a bit itchy, or it's not in the right place, and then you've got to take your gloves off again and retape in the middle of a warm-up or in the middle of a training session. So what I'd like to do is take off, and if you hold this close together with your thumbs, it's then nice and easy to tear. Okay, so hold the thumbs close together and tear the product. So let's imagine that Dan has an injury of his index finger here. So with the 2-inch tape, it's quite nice because what you'll be able to do is actually put it around both joints of the finger. So this joint here and this joint here, so two separate joints there. All right, and we're just going to put the tape around the finger. So take about 50% tension onto it, wrap it round. Now the nice thing about this tape is it's self-adhesive. Okay, so that means it sticks to itself basically. So I'm going to wrap that round. Okay, and that's just going to give the two joints some nice support there. So if Dan just bends and straightens a finger, it's not going to limit his finger extension and flexion too much, but it's going to give him a little reminder and also give him some restriction in terms of, if he has to tip a ball and hyperextends a finger, it's just going to give him some support there. He might also have some gloves from the Sells range that give him some finger support as well. So this might be a belt and braces approach of just making sure that if there was a previous injury there or we're trying to prevent injury, that we could tackle that in both ways in terms of the tape and the gloves with the spines in as well. So we could take that off. I'd also suggest that if it were to be just one joint that we wanted to tape, so if it was this joint here, we could actually come a little bit lower down. And again, that tape is nicely self-adhesive. I'm wrapping it around, and again, I'm not putting it on too tight. So the signs of this being too tight, if I pushed at the end of the finger and it stayed white for longer than 2 to 3 seconds, and that's on too tight. Okay, so you should see the blood coming back into that finger within 2 seconds easily. All right. Likewise, if you're feeling pins and needles in that area, or you're lacking sensation, it's numb at the tip of the finger, it's on too tight, and you must take it off straight away. If when you take the tape off after the first 2 or 3 uses, it's itchy and the skin is irritated, then you must stop using the tape as well. So I have to give you those warnings just to make sure we're using it correctly. So that is how we tape a finger. There are other ways of taping a finger, but I would say this tape is not used to hide or mask an injury. If you're worried about an instability of a finger or you've dislocated it, then obviously you must seek medical advice straight away. Go to your local accident and emergency unit or visit your local doctor or chartered physiotherapist to make sure that you haven't caused any structural damage. And you might need some x-rays or further investigations, but this tape is used to reinforce and just give you some more confidence possibly. Likewise, when we work around the thumb, obviously the two main joints, this joint here, and the one more distal. So again, nice thing with this tape is we could target both those joints at once, but I'm going here just to target the lower part. And again, we're just giving Dan some reinforcement around the lower joint there. I could move that tape lower down likewise just to cover the distal, the lower part of the thumb joint. Again, if you need a more complex strapping, then seek the advice of a chartered physiotherapist. For the wrist, just hold so what I do is ask Dan just to hold the wrist in a nice neutral position. And again, take up your 50% slack. And again, some of the goalkeepers I've worked with, they just like to come over the lower part of the wrist there. And again, when I pull it apart, thumbs close together, tear, and we're nicely anchored in there. Okay, so just going to give Dan some support into flexion, extension, and when he moves the wrist in and out. You could also carry that tape on and come across the thumb area and across the palm of the hand here as well, almost like a boxer strapping if so desired. Obviously, you're going to need somebody to do that, which is where a physiotherapist could help you. But I tried this earlier myself, and I'd be very confident that someone like Dan could actually tape his own fingers and his own wrist. Dan, would you be able to do that? Yeah. So the nice thing about this tape is it is so easy to tear that I wouldn't have any problems with Dan being able to do that himself, I'd just give him those instructions about not putting it on too tight and watch for a skin irritation. So just some very basic ways that we can tape any joints of the fingers there, the thumb, likewise the wrist.